What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about the biggest mistakes Little Hope made. Now, I had promised people I was going to do this video. I also had warned people that this was going to be a little bit of a controversial video. So, look, let me start off by saying this, because I do want to make this pretty clear. One, I'm going to be making more videos on Little Hope, hopefully giving you guys maybe a better idea of some of the good things I thought about this game. Number two, I do think there were good things about this game. In fact, I would go so far as to say this game was much, much better than Man of Medan. It didn't hold a candle to Until Dawn, and that's something we'll talk about, but it was much better than last year's game, okay? I do want to make that very clear. And number three, with that being said, I can't lie to you. I want to be very, very transparent with where I stand on this game. I've played the whole game. I beat it. I got the best ending. I looked up online all of the different things. I know the story, all that stuff. So I'm ready to fully jump into this. And there are a lot of weaknesses, and I don't want that to come off the wrong way, or I don't want people maybe to get the wrong impression of me. But if you guys don't agree with me, totally cool. I'm definitely I think I am a channel that's very respectful of all opinions. That if you do like this game, if you hate this game, I think both those sides have a place on this channel, okay? So let me focus in. It's not a review. This is not a review, but let me focus in on some of the biggest things I think this game did wrong, okay? And number one, I'll start off with maybe the most subjective to me, one that I don't think everybody's going to agree on, so I want to get it out of the way first, and I won't spend that much time on it. But it's the acting and dialogue. Now, I had watched reviews for this game like the day before or the day this game came, before I even played it, okay? I watched reviews of it, and people, for the most part, were generally praising the performances. And what I would say is I think they get better over, I will say, as I played more of it, the last hour and a half, 2 hours were much, much better in terms of performance than the first couple hours, almost in the same way as Man of Medan. I thought they were very poorly acted, poorly written characters as well, but they got better, but they really only got better like the last 30 minutes of the game, and still they were not very good. Again, Little Hope is in such a weird spot because it's like, is it anywhere near as good as the characters of Until, or like, again, even well written? So there's the characters and how they perform, and then there's also the character, like, how are they written? Are they good characters? And like I've said numerous times with Until Dawn, the point of the game is you're not supposed to love everybody. There are very like Emily, very unlikable characters, but they all play their role, and they are perfect in their roles, and that's the whole point. I think that's what Until Dawn nailed. Little Hope, again, I would say as the game got going, as the second half, let's say, the performances were way more consistent. I would say besides Andrew, though, I would say was consistently pretty darn good the entire time. Taylor maybe was like the second, but everybody else had just such a swing and again, all my opinion, and I won't spend too much longer on this, but it was ridiculous. Daniel, I mean, my God, sometimes he was absolutely awful in terms of just his acting abilities, and I guess I am kind of calling out the actors here too. But it's weird because, I don't want to be too hard on them, because a lot of their past selves, the Salem witch trial, and also the one like in the beginning of the game, let's say, they were fine. In fact, I think all of their characters from like the late 1600s were actually really good. John, Angela, all of their versions back then, even with the weird accents, were all very, very good. But oh my God, Angela, such a swing. John, sometimes he would be really, really good. Sometimes he'd be one of the worst acted performances I've ever seen in my life. It was odd. And that's just me. I don't know if anybody else got that. I had said even when we first saw the game, when we saw little snippets of the game, that I thought something was off with the acting. I'd like to say that I'm right. I know not everybody's going to agree there, but I would say so. That's my number one. Number two is the lack of anything horror related. Now, here's the deal. I'm a big baby when it comes to horror things. If you guys have watched this channel, even the Little Hope stuff I've talked about, you may know that. I play horror games. I don't love to give myself heart attacks, but I play them. I enjoy them, but I mean, Outlast 2 was an uncomfortable experience. Resident Evil 7, I played that I played part of that in VR. That was terrifying. There are PT. I mean, I just sat there for like half an hour not wanting to move because I didn't want to do it. Movies, I'm an even bigger baby where it's like I just won't even watch most horror movies, and the horror movies I do like are more of the meta ones or smart ones like Scream or stuff like that, right? So I'm a pretty big baby. This game's a horror game. There was not a single time that I was scared. There was maybe 2 times in the entire game. The game took me like 4.5 hours to beat. 2 times that maybe a jump scare got me. Not even a jump scare. One of the times was like a fence post, those like spiky things. It comes through a window towards the end of the game. That's not spoiling anything, but one of those things comes through the window, and it just caught me by surprise. I'm like, oh my god, I didn't expect that to happen. But it didn't really scare me. None of it was scary. And you could say, well, maybe that's not the point of the game because it's more of a, I don't know, not necessarily like a murder mystery, but it's definitely a mystery. It's like a Salem witch trial mystery if you think about it, which is fine, and that's actually a positive. Not going too off course here, but one of the things I did like about this game was the mystery of the past versus what's going on with the present, and the present literally impacting what happened before it. I love that. I thought that was actually really, really good. And I get that they went more that way, but there was no horror. No, not a single time did I feel scared. Until Dawn, again, that's why it was so, it wasn't the only reason, but one of the reasons Until Dawn was good is it was scary, but not even scary. It had the horror aspect because it had tension. It played with real life killers, when Josh was dressed up. It played with the supernatural, with Wendigos that were like actually factually real, right? Which I won't spoil too much of Little Hope, but they were real. Wendigos were real in that world. It played with like the Ouija board, right? There was all of this stuff, and it could really build tension. There was no tension in Little whatsoever. And I mean, that's again, all of these are just my opinion, but I never felt tense. I never felt scared. I mean, yeah, maybe you're gonna feel a little tense, like when you kind of can sense you could lose a character based off of a quick time event. But I almost feel like at this point it's kind of cheap. I love quick time events. I will say that. I know it's become a more popular opinion where we need to like ban quick time events. I still like them. I still think they have a place. I would say even those were lame and boring, which is kind of the next thing I want to talk about. But yes, there was a little tension there, but not much. And ultimately, I didn't like any of the characters enough where if I did lose them, I would be like, oh my god, I can't believe it, I need to restart. And again, that's where Until Dawn was so successful. It's like, I want to see all the variations. I want to see all this stuff. And this was before my YouTube channel was like anything worth mentioning. Now, the only reason why I look up variations is for coverage. I would never do it on my own. I wouldn't want to because I just don't care. You know what I mean? The final thing, these are really like the 3 pillars. So the acting and dialogue, the non-horror, but the third and most biggest, like the biggest thing of all, I wouldn't even go so far to say like the convoluted story and how it's a little weird and how I don't even fully grasp what I know what was happening. I get what was happening. I feel like there's some plot holes like deep in there. I don't want to spoil it necessarily, but I feel like some of it kind of ruined itself. The third and easily the biggest thing, and I do think this was stated because I watched a couple of reviews and other people did mention this, is just it's so boring. And that is the biggest thing. I think that in a game that's 4 hours long, you got to get in, you got to do everything, and you got to get out, right? Seems pretty easy. And when you only have 4 hours, you would think that it's pretty easy to squish everything together where it just feels like, okay, bam, 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 things happening after things happening. This game made it feel like I was in it for 12 hours. It really did. In fact, I think somebody even said that, like, it was a 4-hour game, but he felt like he was playing it for like 6 or 7. You really do feel that. I really do believe that. Again, I like some of the mystery. I like what they did. I like I guess the twist is actually kind of stupid, I would say that, but I do like appreciate what they were trying to do again with this mystery of what's really going on and telling the story again of these Salem witch trials and how do they connect to what we saw in the beginning of the game and how do they connect to this bus crash and what's going on right now. How do they all connect? And giving us information, having us interact with the past as our present selves, all that stuff. Fine. No worries there. But so much of this game is walking on a road, and there's no arguing that. I would say 40% of this game, probably more, probably 50, 60, 70%, is walking on a goddamn road. And that is just not acceptable, where they're doing it, in my opinion, well, I think they're doing it to try to get you, obviously, from point A to point B, and they need some sort of intermittent, area for you to, like, I don't know, talk or experience some other jump scare that's very lazily done, stuff like that. But in reality, well, they could have used it to build tension, right? Again, that's the thing Until Dawn did really well, is have tension to the game. This game just, again, nothing. It doesn't have tension. It doesn't have horror. So when you're walking on a road for 30 to 50% of the game, let's just say, nothing. You may see a stray cat on the road, and that may be pointed off as a jump scare. You may go to the edge of the road and see something. It's just it's a really bad thing. One other thing I want to throw this in because I don't see anybody saying this, but I want to say this. I don't know what they were thinking with when they were always in groups, but then literally one thing could happen. It could be the smallest thing in the world, and the characters would just get split up. And I really noticed it towards the second half of the game when I really started to be like, okay, something's wrong here. There would sometimes be events where they purposely knock off two characters, like on purpose. They'd split two characters up, even though they were right there with everybody else. And I don't know where these other people are going, by the way, in these dialogue. Like, when two people are talking, why did the other ones just completely leave, like, the planet? Why did they do that? But then there'll be a situation, I'll even say it. There's a scene where they're all talking by, like, a sign towards the end. It's like an hour left. And Taylor gets grabbed by the monster, and Daniel has to go after her. And it's literally just those two. And the other three are right there on the side of the road. They don't do a single thing. It's literally just so you can, I don't know, I think you could probably lose Taylor. She could probably die. But you have Daniel and Taylor. They handle their situation, and they literally walk back to the exact same place they were talking with everybody else, and they act like nothing happen. They then walk on the road, and then there's a dialogue after that where they talk about, oh my God, like, I can't believe that just happened. That makes me mad. And if you can tell by my voice, that's a very specific example. I don't see how you can argue that if you're like for the game. That's pathetic. And I felt like they did that probably 10 to 15 times in the game where they tried to make like spin-off quests, basically, where like something will happen, hopefully they meet us. It's those kind of things where it's like, that is just terrible, where why do people get split up so easily in this game? It's like they forget how to walk and they purposely split themselves up, but then they can join right back together and act like literally nothing happened. Now, I guess you could use the excuse of the end of the game to, I've seen people do that. You can't, in my opinion, you cannot use the endings, what happens at the end, again, not to spoil it. You can't use that ending to justify like 1,000 bad things that happen in the game, okay? So I do feel like the more I'm talking about it, the more negative I'm feeling about it, the more attacking. I'm sorry about that. That's the way I go. But I do have some nice things to say. There are nice things to say. That's just kind of the way it goes. I do want to make more videos on this. I want to talk about, what we're going to get, later on from Supermassive Games. Again, more talking of House of Ashes. So we'll do that as the days go on. Let me know what you guys think about this video. Let me know about your guys' thoughts on Little Hope. Please don't be too negative to me. It's just one man's opinion. I totally can see other sides to it. Again, there is good buried beneath this game that I think is actually pretty darn bad. But again, just my opinion. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all on the next video.